All right, so you've created your video game. You have a moving monster, whatever, and hopefully it looks a little better than this because all I have here is just a moving player. You can see here, I can just move around in 8 directions. Now what we want to do is create our main menu. And right now, what you may have done is created a button here. You've simply added it into your screen and you've connected a signal. Maybe let's do that together here. We'll rename this to play, hit pressed, and you can maybe do this. You get tree, you change scene to file into the world. And you may have this. You have a simple button, super easy, super simple main menu. Not very great. It works. It does the job. It's not the ideal situation, but it works. It does what it needs to do, right? Now, what we're going to do here in this video is essentially go through a few things to make this a little more playable, presentable, and usable. Okay, so what can we do first? Well, first, what we can do is we can use something called a container. We're going to add a container, or a VBox container in our case, where we can add all our buttons into this VBox container. And essentially, this VBox container is what it kind of says. It's a container that will hold other nodes or objects. And essentially, if we do this, it's a little easier if I just show you. If I add this button in here, and I take this guy and just do this, and I duplicate my button, you can see it just organizes it a little nicer. All right, now we have a VBox container, and eventually we'll add a few more buttons. But before we do that, let's go to the button and go to the theme overrides. Now, what we're going to do here is we're going to go to the styles, and we're going to do the normal. We're going to hit the normal and add a new style box empty. We're going to go to pressed, new style box empty, and then hover, new style box empty. Essentially what this does is it adds a box for our button. You can see there's still a box there essentially, but it's empty. It has nothing in it. And there is an advantage to this, which I'll show you in just a second. But before we move on, there's a few other things I'd like to kind of look at, which are the colors, constants, and font. Now fonts, I don't have any. I'm not going to add any. I do suggest you find a better font. As you can see, this is a little blurry. It's not the best font. It is the default Godot font, but it works, right? It gets the job done. You can kind of read it, but it's not ideal. So I do suggest that you pick a different font. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to change the font or add the font outline color and font color. Now, what we can do here is go to the outline size and change this to maybe 11. You can see everything is all black. So what we can do is take our font color and make this white. And there you go. Now, of course, you can change this to a different color, maybe yellow, red, I don't know, purple. It really doesn't matter. It's up to you. I'm going to keep it white. I think white is good, and this is decent. Now, you can change other things as well, which go for it. Be creative. Try not to do anything too outlandish. Maybe look at other games and as a reference and see what they do. That's usually what I like to do. Now, that's pretty much it for us. But do keep in mind there's other options like icons and font sizes. Do play around with these things. But again, bring in your own font, try that, and see how that works. Now, the last thing we're going to look at is the focus. Now, this actually won't work because we don't have any, well, we might be able to assign ourselves, but that doesn't make sense. We need other buttons here. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to duplicate the play button by hitting Control D, or if you right click and duplicate right here, you can quickly duplicate it that way. I'm going to go to my play button 2 and disconnect this signal. And this will be our settings button. And rename this, and rename this to settings, duplicate this settings button, and rename this to quit. Name this to quit, and here we go. This is basically our main 3 buttons that we might have. You might have more, you might have less. It really depends on the game. Now, what if we want to alternate between these buttons by highlighting them? Well, what we can do is by going to the focus in our button, we can assign our neighbor top or right or bottom or whatever. Now, in our case, we're going to do a top and bottom. The bottom is easy because settings is right below us. But what if I click up when I have the play button selected? Well, I'm just going to cycle back to quit. So the neighbor top will be the quit button. And you can do this in each of these by going to the focus and just doing what we just did. We'll go neighbor bottom, quit, here we go. And we'll go to quit and go to focus, neighbor top, settings, neighbor bottom, play. All right, and there we go. Now, this won't do anything because the focus doesn't get grabbed anywhere. So if I click something, then it will focus and maybe we can start working around. But obviously by then, these buttons will have worked and have done something, right? So you can't really do that. So an alternative, we can add our function ready in our script here and simply say get node, maybe the play button, and then we'll say grab focus. This is a function that grabs the focus, and we'll do this on the ready function. So the moment I hit play here, it will grab the focus of nothing and it will error because non-existent function grab focus. We didn't say grab properly. There we go. All right, so now it will grab the focus of the play button, and now we can cycle through these buttons. You can see if I hit the enter button on the play, we can go to our scene here and start playing our game. Now, this looks cool and we have almost everything we need. Now, the last thing you might want is to change the position of this. I personally like to add it to my bottom left of my game, and then that's it. One other thing we'll have is usually a background. Obviously, this is not a great background here, but if I do this, we now have a background, right? This is an amazing background, but it worked. This is usually what my game will have, a small settings button or a main menu box here, and essentially a background. Now, usually the background, I will kind of, depending on the game, try to maybe put in a small scene of the game or maybe something that looks kind of neat. Now, let me show you what I currently have for a game I'm working on, which has the same idea that we just implemented. So you can see our main menu here. I can select them. I can go to settings. I can go back, and I can even quit. Now, I'll do that in a second, but you can see the background here. It has a little bit of gameplay. It's a 3D game, so it's a dungeon crawler. It has some lights in the back, and it has a few shaders. And that's essentially it. That's all I like to add to my main menu, which is a small image of our game, hopefully animated. If it's animated, that's great. If it's not, that's okay. Sometimes you can't get that. But that's pretty much it. So let me know if you guys enjoyed this video, if it helped. If you guys want more videos like this, definitely hit the subscribe button down below. I'm going to try to post more. I know I haven't been posting a lot on this channel for a while, but hit the subscribe button, go comment down below. It really does motivate me to keep posting. And yeah, I do have an email list as well down below in the description. Go check that out. If you guys want the main menu, I might attach that to a file, which will also be in the description. Go check that out. I will see you guys in the future. Bye-bye for now.